The story of Ruth takes place during the era of Judges, which we mentioned in the last episode. It was a dark time of frequent wars and moral decay, where there was no king, and everyone did as they saw fit. The story begins with a heavy heart. In Bethlehem, a name that literally means house of bread, a severe famine struck. To survive, a man named Elimelech took his wife Naomi and their 2 sons and fled to the land of Moab, a place cursed by God. But fate seemed to be playing a cruel joke. They went seeking survival, but found death instead. Within 10 years, the father died, and both sons died as well. The household was left with just 3 widows, the mother-in-law Naomi, and 2 Moabite daughters-in-law. This isn't a legend of heroes. It is the story of an ordinary family shattered by the harsh blows of reality. Naomi heard that the famine back home had ended and decided to return alone. Not wanting to be a burden to her young daughters-in-law, she urged them to return to their mothers' homes and remarry. The older daughter-in-law wept, kissed her mother-in-law goodbye, and left. It was a sensible and reasonable choice. But the younger one, Ruth, made a shocking decision. She clung tightly to her mother-in-law, who had absolutely nothing left, and spoke one of the most powerful vows in the Bible. "Don't urge me to leave you. Where you go I will go, and where you stay I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God my God." This wasn't a moment of impulse, but a loyalty of death do us part. Ruth chose to give up her homeland, her gods, and her chance for remarriage to walk into an unknown future. When they returned to Bethlehem, the whole town was abuzz. People asked in astonishment, "Can this be Naomi?" Naomi replied bitterly, "Don't call me Naomi, which means pleasant. Call me Mara, which means bitter. Because the Almighty has made my life very bitter. I went away full, but the Lord has brought me back empty." In Naomi's eyes, her life was over, leaving only bitterness and emptiness. But what she didn't know was that God's script often begins its most exciting chapter right when we feel completely empty. To support them both, Ruth took the initiative to go into someone else's field and pick up the leftover grain dropped by the reapers. It was humble and dangerous work. The Bible says she happened to find herself in a field belonging to Boaz, who happened to be a relative of Naomi. Boaz was a wealthy and upright gentleman. He noticed this hardworking foreign woman. Not only did he protect her from being bullied by the workers, but he also specifically ordered his servants, pull out some stalks from the bundles and leave them for her to pick up. These seemingly small acts of kindness were actually the manifestation of God's providence. In God's dictionary, there are no coincidences, only appointments. Naomi realized that Boaz was a kinsman redeemer who could redeem their family's land. Under her arrangement, Ruth went to the threshing floor at night and lay down at Boaz's feet. When Boaz woke up, Ruth courageously said, "Spread the corner of your garment over me." In those times, this was a request for protection and a proposal of marriage. Boaz did not look down on this foreign woman. Instead, he praised her as a woman of noble character. He promised that if a closer relative was unwilling, he would pay the price to marry Ruth and redeem their family property. It was a night defined by dignity, responsibility, and love. The ending of the story sweeps away all the gloom. Boaz kept his word and married Ruth. Soon, they had a son named Obed. The women of the neighborhood said to Naomi, "Praise be to the Lord. He has not left you without a guardian redeemer. This child will renew your life." Naomi, who once called herself Mara, now held her grandson in her arms, smiling from ear to ear. But this isn't just a happy family comedy. The text reveals a shocking Easter egg at the end. This Obed became the father of Jesse, and Jesse became the father of King David. This means that Ruth, a foreign woman, became the great-grandmother of King David and one of the few women explicitly named in the genealogy of Jesus Christ. The book of Ruth tells us that even in the darkest, most chaotic times, God is still at work. He doesn't always work through earth-shattering miracles, but through ordinary people like Ruth's loyalty and Boaz's kindness, to weave his great plan. You may feel small or empty right now, but please believe, as long as you choose kindness and loyalty, God can use your story to impact a future far beyond your imagination.